We are not sure what to call you, but we have been told that you are the emissary to the creative gods at Paradox and Morality.
Yes, you could say that. You could say I'm kind of like their spokesperson. So I take all of the information that the creative gods give and I translate it to us humans here on Earth.
So, who are the creative gods and what is their role in this new gameplay?
The Paradox and Morality creative gods are essentially the embodiment of all the little voices inside of us with no filter. So no social constraints, no political correctness, no not being bound by social beliefs. And the role is to give game players the opportunity to do the same. So you're able to say what you want, say how you feel, and hear about how other players feel or on different topics, and with no constraints, not worried about being politically correct or even being nice.
What is Paradox and Morality, or better yet, where does the name come from, or what does it mean?
So paradox defined is no right or wrong answer. And morality is all of those things that we believe, those things that we have decided are right or wrong, all based on things that our environment tells us and not necessarily how we truly feel. And so everybody's morality isn't necessarily the same because we all grew up differently or we have different sexual preferences or we were raised in different religions. And again, doesn't always mean it's right or wrong. It just is what it is. So bringing that together, paradox and morality, is the embodiment of the fact that all morality isn't right or wrong. It just is what it is.
So, where did the concept for the game originate?
Originally, it was a social experiment that was going to manifest itself into a tabletop book. So you're at a party, you don't know anyone because you come with one person, you don't know anyone else, but you want to strike up some type of conversation. Or maybe the party is just really boring and you need to strike up some conversation. And so this tabletop book was going to give you different topics that you guys can talk and debate and, have a friendly discourse. And so our creator was challenged to make it into an actual game. And so that's how we came up with Paradox and Morality, the game.
So, can you tell me about the game itself?
Absolutely. So Paradox and Morality is a scenario-based card game that is designed to push moral and social boundaries for players and for all of the game players. So you're going to find out more about yourself and your friends and family than you probably ever wanted to know. So essentially, each scenario is crazy. Starts off crazy, just gets crazier. And again, there is no right or wrong answer. So you're able to just say what you want, feel how you want, and the best answer wins, whether it's the funniest or what your judge deems as the best answer. And I'll give you an example. So let's say you're at a sports game, right? And you've eaten French fries and bratwurst, and so has everyone else, and you've been drinking, right? Now you've got to run to the porta potty, and maybe that cheese from the nachos didn't sit with you so well. So you go to use the bathroom, and then you hear kerplunk, and your new $3,500 cell phone that you waited in line for is now in the toilet. Well, what do you do? A lot of people may say, as it's dripping now into that disgusting that blue liquid full of poop and your bratwurst that you had earlier, you know what? I think I may just let it go. And then some people may say, no, I got to get that phone. So is there a right or wrong answer? Absolutely not. But what would you do? And then the ante goes up, because then you find out that on that cell phone is your $1 million proposal that you wrote, and you only have it on the phone. It's not in the cloud because the clouds never work, and it's due tomorrow. Do you go get it then? So as you can see, each scenario will build upon itself, and so once again, it will expose your truths and the truths of your friends and your family.
I'm told you have a clothing line. Is that shirt you have on part of that? And what's the message behind the line itself?
Yes, it is. You can get this and other shirts. We have dad hats, we have beanies, we have hoodies and leggings, all available on our paradoxandmorality.com and our virtual pop-up shop. And the message behind it is the liberation of social consciousness. So being able to freely express yourself, being creative. It's celebrating being creative and free thought.
What makes Paradox and Morality different from other party games? And what game currently on the market would you compare it to?
With this game, you're going to find out just how sick and demented your friends are, and possibly how sick and demented you are, and that's okay. Currently on the market, let's see. I think the only game I could probably say is Cards Against Humanity, but when you really think about it, we make that game look like child's play. It's essentially Cards Against Humanity on steroids. again, we talked about it may break up your relationship. We talked about your friendships and how your friendship could be strengthened. Or like I said, you may find out that your friends are just as dark and twisted as you are.
So can you tell me about the journey that it took to get here to this point, and what's the future of Paradox Morality?
Oh, the journey. So, talked about it before. It started off as a book, challenged to make it into a game. And so then it was, well, how do we build this how do we build this Paradox world? And so you'll see from all of the details in the cards that it was really about creating a world where, for free thought. We started when the game was first created and we kind of put everything together. We played with our friends in their homes, and the conversations that would come about from some of the scenarios, it would get to the point where we couldn't even finish a whole game or even a whole scenario. So some of the scenarios have 5 steps, and we would get to 3, and there was such discourse between our friends. And even after, when the game was over, like, they were still talking about the scenarios, or they were still talking about each other's thoughts on the scenarios. So we knew we had a hit. So the next step is we decided, okay, let's take this public. And we sponsored some games at a local club here in Las Vegas, where we invited the community and they dressed up, and it was so much fun. And what we found out is when people dressed up, they stopped thinking about who they are or those social norms, and so they express more. So we had the public come in, play the games, and it was a lot of fun. I was able to host a couple of those events and really truly see again just how sick and demented we all are, and that it's okay. We all have a dark side, we all have a light side, and it's all perfectly okay. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun to find out that not everyone is a square peg, because we're not.
That's crazy that you guys have come this far. So what's the future of Paradox?
Well, what we're looking at now, obviously we're on Kickstarter now to help the development of the game, but on top of that, we have a game show in development as well. So we've started that process of talking to different producers and working on a live stream version of the game.
Okay, that's amazing. Everything from this starting off as a tabletop game for just social discourse at parties, to a clothing line, to the game itself, and to the potential of developing a TV show. Can you just sum all that up for me and give me a final thought on Paradox Morality?
Wow, so summing up 2.5 years of both labor, frustration, the team, I can't even begin to tell you what this journey has been. November 10th, you'll have the opportunity to hopefully back us on our Kickstarter, and just know that you are backing visionaries. I mean, again, it started off as a book. We've moved on to the game. We now have a clothing line, and essentially we're just here to let everyone know that it is okay to think how you think, be who you want to be, live how you want to live, and if you can't do it anywhere else, you can do it while playing Paradox and Morality.